Morning New on Daybreak today marks 75 years from the U.S. Navy's worst disaster. A Japanese submarine sank the USS Indianapolis. More than 800 sailors died.
Now there are less than 10 survivors. News 8's Katie Wisely is live downtown at the CA-35 monument with a man who travels to Indianapolis every year to honor those lives lost. Katie?
Good morning. Such a tragic event that's still talked about 75 years later. You're right. We are here with a man, Michael Emery, who does travel from Boston to be here. We were talking, your uncle actually was on the ship when the ship sank, and you're here in Indianapolis for that virtual reunion. But there are only 8 survivors. We were just talking about that. Tell me a little bit about these 8 survivors that are left.
There's 8 survivors out of 316. We weren't able to have our virtual reunion this year, so now it's virtual. But I came down here for the 5th annual Honor Watch to honor the 879 Indy boys who did not come home.
Talk a little bit about why this is still talked about so many years later. You were saying earlier that, you know, it's not really in history books in schools anymore. Why is it still important to talk about?
It's the greatest naval war disaster in United States history. Happened 2 weeks before the war ended. And it's just something that needs to be shared to remind people that freedom is not free.
And we want to zoom in here on this letter. This is really interesting. This is a letter, Michael, from Captain McVeigh, who sent to your family, actually, about your uncle who was on the ship. Can you kind of walk us through what it says and really what that meant for your family to get a letter like that?
It was sent to my grandfather, Lieutenant Commander John Colvin Emery, who pulled his Navy strings to get Bill on the Indianapolis, thinking it wasn't going to see any action. And in the letter, Captain McVeigh said, I served on the same division, navigation division, as Bill Emery. I knew him. You can be justly proud of him, but I did not know what happened to him when the ship sank.
Does your family talk about, you know, still to this day, what may have happened?
They never talked about him. He was almost like an urban legend. For me, there was a tremendous amount of grief in the family that my dad carried, losing another brother 5 years before that to spinal meningitis. So I feel I've carried the grief, and by coming down here, it helps me to heal and my family.
Exactly. Well, thank you, Michael. We appreciate your time here this morning. Michael will be here at the monument here downtown until about 5:30 for that 5th Honor Watch. For those of you who are watching who want to come down here, feel free to. Michael will be here with a little bit of history if you're wanting to know more about the USS Indianapolis. In Indianapolis, Katie Wisely, WishTV, wishtv.com, and follow.